slaving away, becoming a slave to text. Give me 1 second. Let me see if this. Let me see if she actually finished this other book. Hang on, guys. This book was 19. This interview was from 1964. Frank O'Connor. Let's see. When did she die? Posthumously. So I'm assuming this is our last one. Interesting. let me read this to you guys. I think, oh, this is motivating for some reason. But here we go. In Atlas Shrugged, so this is an interview between a Playboy interviewer, the magazine Playboy, and Ayn Rand. Here we go. So it's going to be interviewer first, and then Ayn. In Atlas Shrugged, this is the interviewer speaking. In Atlas Shrugged, one of your leading characters is asked, "What's the most depraved type of human being?" His reply is surprising. He doesn't say a sadist or a murderer or a sex maniac or a dictator. He says, the man without a purpose. Yet most people seem to go through their lives without a clearly defined purpose. Do you regard them as depraved? Is it depraved or deprived? No, it's depraved. Alright, so excuse me. Do you regard them as depraved? Rand answers, yes, to a certain extent. Interviewer says, why? And Rand says, because that aspect of their character lies at the root of and causes all the evils which you mentioned in your question. Sadism, dictatorship, any form of evil is the consequence of a man's evasion of reality. A consequence of his failure to think. The man without a purpose is a man who drifts at the mercy of random feelings or unidentified urges and is capable of any evil because he is totally out of control of his own life. In order to be in control of your life, you have to have a purpose, a productive purpose. Observe that both of them ended as literal psychotics. They were men with lacked self-esteem and therefore hated all of existence. Their psychology, in effect, is summarized and illustrated by the character of James Taggart, the man who has no purpose but has to acts to destroy others. That is not the same thing as a productive or creative purpose. If a person organizes his life around a single neatly defined purpose, isn't he in danger of becoming extremely narrow in his horizons? Quite the contrary. A central purpose serves to integrate all the other concerns of a man's life. It establishes the hierarchy. The relative importance of his values, saves him from pointless inner conflicts. It permits him to enjoy life on a wide scale and to carry that enjoyment into any area open to his mind. Whereas a man without a purpose is lost in chaos. He does not know what his values are. He does not know how to judge. He cannot tell what is or is not important to him, and therefore he drifts helplessly at the mercy of any chance stimulus or any whim of the moment. He can enjoy nothing. He spends his life searching for some value which he will never find. Couldn't the attempt to rule whim out of life, to act in a totally rational fashion, be viewed as conducive to a useless, joyless kind of existence? Wow, this is fascinating. All right, so let me read this. So I'm just gonna read this. The interviewer, and so I'm gonna ask the question first. Read the question first. You guys figure it out. Couldn't the attempt to rule whim out of life, to act in a totally rational fashion, be viewed as conducive to a juiceless, joyless kind of existence? So rule whim out of life. I didn't understand at first, but I'm assuming that means improvisation. You know, um, doing things without planning, just a spontaneous kind of thing. And Rand says, in response to that, Rand says, I truly must say I do not know what you are talking about. Let's define our terms. Reason is a man's tool of knowledge, the faculty that enables him to perceive the facts of reality. To act rationally means to act in accordance with the facts of reality. Emotions are not tools of cognition. What you feel tells you nothing about the facts. It merely tells you something about your estimate of the facts. Emotions are the result of your value judgments. They are caused by your basic premises, which you may hold consciously or subconsciously, which may be right or wrong. A whim is an emotion whose cause you neither know nor care to discover. Now, what does it mean to act on whim? It means that a man acts like a zombie, without any knowledge of what he deals with, what he wants to accomplish, or what motivates him. It means that a man acts in a state of temporary insanity. Is this what you call juicy or colorful? I think the only juice that can come out of such a situation is blood. To act against the facts of reality can result only in destruction. Can I don't never mind about improvisation. I don't think that's the same thing. Should one ignore emotions altogether, rule them out of one's life entirely? Of course not. One should merely keep them in their place. Holy shit, alright, I gotta read this to you guys too. Should one ignore emotions altogether, rule them out of one's life entirely? Rand responds, of course not. One should merely keep them in their place. An emotion is an automatic response, an automatic effect of man's value premises. An effect, not a cause. There is no necessary clash, no dichotomy between man's reason and his emotions, provided he observes their proper relationship. A rational man knows, or makes it a point to discover, the source of his emotions, the basic premises from which they come. If his premises are wrong, he corrects them. He never acts on emotions for which he cannot account, the meaning of which he does not understand. In appraising a situation, he knows why he reacts as he does and whether he is right. He has no inner conflicts. His mind and his emotions are integrated. His consciousness is in perfect harmony. His emotions are not his enemies. They are his means of enjoying life, but they are not his guide. The guide is his mind. This relationship cannot be reversed, however. If a man takes his emotions as the cause and his mind as their passive effect, if he is guided by his emotions and uses his mind only to rationalize or justify them somehow, then he is acting immorally. He is condemning himself to misery, failure, defeat, and he will achieve nothing but destruction, his own and that of others. I agree. This is interesting because now it makes me think about a lot of things that I do, like how I'm speaking to you guys, how I'm holding this book. It makes me kind of self-conscious. Um, Self-conscious as in, is that even the right phrase to use? Like it's not about, I don't feel about being judged. If I did, I wouldn't even have started this video or this channel in the first place. What I mean is, she talks about purpose. Everything that a man does has a purpose in his life. He has a central kind of theme that revolves around, what do you call it? What did she say? Oh yeah, so here it says, a central purpose serves to integrate all other concerns of a man's life. So everything that I do, everything that I feel, there must be a reason, there must be a purpose. Emotions are not his enemies. They are his means of enjoying life. That one hit hard. Wow. Because so recently, at least this month, actually not this month, I've realized that I have this problems with my emotions. There's that phrase of, do you let your feelings consume you? Like, do you feel your feelings, emotions kind of getting the best of you at certain situations? And I have to wholeheartedly say that I agree. I can't, when I get into a conflict, let's say, when I get into a conflict with someone on over the phone, for example, I kind of had the attitude of, okay, this person just does not understand what I mean, and I kind of gave up attempting to explain myself to what I at the time addressed as ignorant people who just don't want to be bothered with the opinions of others, in order to kind of make myself feel better. And I realized that even just kind of doing that literally is emotions first, and then using my mind to rationalize my feelings, which is something that I realized that I need to fix. It's a terrible habit, terrible way to think about things. So how do I not do that? I realize that emotions are not my enemies. They are my means of enjoying life. So if I encounter something that is negative, that is affecting me negatively, um, I have to look at it in a different light. I think I have to practice analyzing what this other person is, what the other party is feeling, what the other party is trying to, you know, how to kind of dissolve the situation in the first place. I think that's the most important thing. Um, Looking at it very objectively. Wow, that is interesting. Thank God I came across this one. Well, thank God I came across this thought of let's read interviews. Because I couldn't read anything. Like, I couldn't read fiction, I couldn't read nonfiction. Fiction just was so complicated. I was like, oh my God. And the nonfiction nonfiction was this thing, super complicated. You know, it feels like textbook. And then other nonfiction, let's say the best essays, for example, the best essays of 2013. If I were to read that, well, it's okay, but at the same time, it's not really something that I wanted to read. You know, because it felt like fiction. Um, it felt like fiction, but non-fiction, if that makes sense. So I was like, what the heck can I? What can I do? Should I just go to bed and call it a night? I'm happy that so I've been meaning to read Anthony Bourdain's last interview. So when I typed up interview on my Kindle, I remembered I downloaded a bunch of I downloaded a bunch of these interviews, um, and one of them was the Playboy interviews. The long, I don't know how many pages it has. It's humongous, and I realized that I had them, so I clicked on one of them, and I remember reading. Um, I remember reading, but I don't remember any details from this. I probably mentioned it beforehand, and I'm so happy that with the chain of events, I came across this beautiful statement. It's a motivation that I really, at the moment, needed. So how would I tackle material that I cannot read right now? How would I tackle that? If I can't understand what I'm reading, how would I tackle that? Should I just keep on rereading it, or should I come back to it a few days later? Alright, I'll see you guys tomorrow.